On today's show, Luka Doncic makes his fourth first-team All-NBA in a row. Can he catch Dirk? Can he catch LeBron? And then we'll talk about the Mavericks offseason plans and answer your questions on who should the Mavericks call first in the offseason. Talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
To the Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everydayer, and subscribe for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get podcasts or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section, who's your first call in the offseason if you were Nico Harrison? Which team are you calling first? Who are you reaching out to first? Free agent? Let us know in the comment section. Also, if you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us, participate in mailbags like today. All throughout the offseason, we'll have a lot more stuff as things get revved back up again. Subscribe to our subtext. Click the link in the description below. Subscribe to the tutorial, and then you can support the show. Really appreciate it. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com. The Friday phony, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Guys, we got 2 more pods after this until we know the draft order.
Wow.
Tuesday night. Monday should be a fun one. We'll have a couple more teams eliminated over the weekend. At least one game 7 that's happening. But might have some teams that's willing to blow it up a little bit this summer. A little Marcus Smart, maybe. I don't know. They just forced the game 7, so
I was hoping maybe the Celtics would get eliminated in that weekend. But on Sunday, there will be potentially 3 game 7s. We're recording during Suns Nuggets, so we don't know about that one yet. But,
great Mother's Day.
Yeah, that was going to be maybe a little tough. But on today's show, we're answering your questions about all kinds of different stuff. The offseason, we'll talk about, there's a question about Marcus Smart, which I found kind of interesting. If you were Nico Harrison, who are the first 5 calls that you're making to free agents, teams? Thought that was an interesting question. We'll do some rapid fire on who's your ideal top 4 in the lottery. But let's start here, Isaac Harris. Luka Doncic named to his 4th first-team All-NBA, his 4th All-NBA selection in his career. An incredible accomplishment. He joins Tim Duncan, Kevin Durant, and some guy from the 40s, Max Zavlowski.
Yeah, I got his jersey.
Yeah, you must. To be the only players with 4 first-team All-NBA selections under the age of 25. That's an incredible accomplishment. And yeah, now 4 in a row. First of all, I think we should just do this. Did he deserve it?
Yeah, he did. I mean, we talked about, the debate between, him, Donovan Mitchell, SGA. Ended up not being close. I mean, it's not like it was like a blowout as far as like votes, but I thought it would be a pretty tight race. And, he ended up winning pretty good over Donovan Mitchell. So, yeah, him and SGA getting the 2 guard spots in the first team. And, man, I mean, it really is pretty insane. Like, when you think about all the awards, in the league, and so, like, All NBA is right up there at the top, outside of, obviously playoffs, rings, that means more, rings culture, hashtag, or MVPs. First team All NBA
big
for a lot of people is right after that. I mean, for Luka to have 4 in his first 5 years, like this is the thing where like you are one of the 5 best players in the league, 6 best players in the league. Now, obviously there's injuries and some of that hurts Durant, some of these guys, but for 4 out of his first 5 years, I mean, insane.
Dirk had 4 in his whole career. In 21 years, he had 4 first-team All-NBAs. Now he has 12 overall. So the question that came in from subtext was, can Luka catch LeBron with 19 All-NBA selections? That's the most in NBA history. Next on that list is Duncan, Kareem, and Kobe with 15. And then obviously Dirk has 12. Let's just go through the whole list. Can he catch Dirk? He's got to get 8 more. I feel confident he can get 8 more in his career. I feel confident about that one. Do you?
Yeah, I feel confident in that. He's not catching LeBron.
LeBron might get one again next year and make it 20. To make it 20, Luka would have to play an insane amount. We've already heard from him when he was asked about the scoring title, like the all-time, like most points in NBA history. Like, hey, would you ever reach this? He said, I don't think I'm going to play that long.
Guys, if I could put money down on Luka not playing 20 years in the league, I mean, where did I place my bet?
Here's my take though. I think that there's going to be a time in his career, and we all hope it's this offseason. It could be several off seasons from now, but where he's going to hit that same spot in his career that Nash did, that Dirk did, where they start taking the game seriously. They start taking like their prep and their body seriously, that he goes vegan, something like some kind of big change that Dirk and Nash really went through. Like their careers kind of parallel themselves in some ways. We heard JJ Barea before last season talk about, hey, he just needs to take that next step and become more mature. We've talked about it with his conditioning. We've talked about it with his, how he, handles the referees on the court and all that stuff. If he hits that, then maybe there's a mindset change for Luka where he says, I can play a little longer and I want to play longer, especially if he hasn't gotten the title yet at that point.
Yeah. I think it's all about the title thing. Like I expect him to get a title. I mean, if I had to bet on, I guess multiple titles, it's once Luka has 2 or 3 rings, he's been in the league 10, 11, 12 years. Does he care that much? Like at that point,
that's what I'm saying. It would have to be some kind of
I've got some
MVPs.
Change. Yeah.
Some kind of change where right now it seems like he gets to the end of the season and he's gassed. Like he's done. He's spent because he gives it all. He gives it all on the court because, or he's not conditioned enough to not have to give it all on the court. So maybe that changes.
My guy's like 33. He's got a couple MVPs, couple rings. And he's like, I think I'm going to go back to Madrid. So,
hey, I mean, maybe that's what he wants to do. We'll see. We'll see. And we'll still be here on Locked On Mavericks by then.
Still whatever podcasts look like when he's 33.
It will just be like beamed into your brain somehow, I think, right?
You have holographic versions of us.
There'll be some kind of chip in your head that you'll be able to hear. Instead of headphones, you'll be able to just hear it straight into your brain instead of
holograms of us standing in your rooms talking.
Our next question, just from the offseason, what would your definition of a realistic and successful offseason look like? Let's just start naming some names, and then we'll do the one later that I really like is who are your first 5 calls in the offseason, but who are just some realistic names in the offseason you're looking at?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't take this like specific names. I just put realistic
offseason?
Successful offseason. Re-sign Kyrie.
Okay.
Invest in a big. Multiple wings. There you go. I've been doing too much like corporate vision work, and so like I'm like trying to like simplify
strategery.
Yeah. But
what are the corporate words that the Mavericks should do in the offseason? Like trust, dedication.
Yeah, I can't get back in that. I'm trying to get out of that mode right now.
I think those are great. Because their number one objective in the offseason is re-sign Kyrie. Everything changes if you can't accomplish that. Invest in a big is my number 2 because I think it should be outside of Kyrie their number 1 thing. They have to get some kind of center. We've said this several times. I'm going to keep saying it for the everydayers, for the Raccoon Squad. You're going to hear me say this so much. If Dwight Powell's the starting center, or there's even a question about him as a starting center by the time the next season rolls around, it's a massive failure from the front office.
Yeah.
And then 3, multiple wings. Like I think that's great. That's a great offseason. And I think it is realistic. They don't have a ton of assets to make some moves, but they do have some, and they have to make them now because they're in win now mode right now. Right? They can't be messing around at this point because you need to be worried about losing Luka, and they are worried about it. And so I think that there is some fire under them. And I think they should be looking at what Brunson is doing right now and being very embarrassed and wanting to like make up for that, I think, in the offseason.
Yeah, so I think a realistic scenario is like re-signing Kyrie. Then you're looking at names like Miles Turner, Clint Capella.
Oh, yeah.
DeAndre Ayton. And then if you invest, 20, 25, $30 million into a big, which I could see them doing this offseason, then you're looking at, then you have to lower a little bit from the multiple wings to get multiple wings in here.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at, Kyle Anderson, Nick Batum, Thibault, Okoro, Dorian Finney-Smith,
Yep.
Like, is there a world that you can pull off a couple of these other wings to where you can add a couple wings to the mix with Reggie Bullock or Josh Green? And yeah,
there are options on each level, and we'll be going through them all throughout the offseason. But coming up, if you're Nico Harrison, what are your first 5 calls in the offseason? Let's say you have to rank them. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered. They know that every player on your roster has to be the right fit. We know that for a championship team, even just a Western Conference Finals team, all those pieces had to fit, and it had to work well together. So it's the same with car parts and accessories. Head to eBay Motors with the eBay Guaranteed Fit. You can be sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage. Look for the green check so you know that it will fit, or you get your money back, because just like in sports, confidence, baby, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And it's over 122 million parts to choose from. You'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, making us your first listen, being part of the Raccoon Squad, being an everydayer. We appreciate each and every one of you. We're answering your questions on subtext. Again, you can subscribe to our subtext. Click the link in the description below. We're trying to get to an amount. When we get closer, we'll tell you what it is. But we're trying to get to an amount to keep it going as we test this for the Locked On Network. You guys are one of the first ones to be able to take advantage of this. The question came in. I thought this was a great one. Cuban calls you up, hires you to be the GM. What are your first 5 calls or choices you're making and trying to do? Let's say you have the number 10 pick. So the lottery comes in, you get the number 10 pick, you've got the stuff that you have. What are your first 5 calls? Let's go 1 and 1. You say your first call, and I'll say my first call.
Well, I'm gonna throw you a curveball right at the top.
Stop. You changed the question.
No. It is.
It's a conference call.
No. I'm calling Frank Vogel.
Wow.
And I'm saying if he wants to be our head coach.
The head coach.
Sorry.
Wow.
Did I say that? Okay. Well, no, the assistant spot.
Assistant?
Yeah. I mean, if he wants something else, a bigger spot, I'd entertain it. I told you I'd throw you a curveball.
It was a curveball, and it hit me square in the back, and then I wasn't ready for it. But I'm for it. I didn't even think about it in that direction. I went all players. I went all teams.
I know. That's why I said a curveball.
I'm for it. I am. I still do think I'll take up for Kidd in this. I do think there is still some Kyrie Irving, Jason Kidd connection there that will keep him in Dallas. So
I mean, the question was, if I was hired as GM, what would I do personally right now? That would be my first call.
But if you did that, then are you like in danger of losing Kyrie if you bring in Frank Vogel and send Jason Kidd?
That's true. Who would be your first call?
My first call, I'm going to Cleveland. I'm calling up and I'm checking in.
Ooh.
Checking in on our dream target of Jared Allen. I'm checking in on him. And also the bonus, I get to check on Isaac Okoro too. Like, hey, is there some kind of package deal? Because that fixes 2 of your problems in one swoop. So that's my first
y'all were
call.
interested in Tim. Is there any
I got the 10th pick. I got Tim Hardaway. Maybe it's Josh Green. I've got some things for you. And that's my first call to check in on that. I'm not expecting anything, but your first call shouldn't be like, all right, this is the single. I'm getting this one right away.
Yeah. My second call is to Masai in Toronto. And I'm saying,
do you want my job? Take over my GM job that Mark Cuban just gave me with Dallas Mavericks.
No, I'm calling Masai and just saying, hey, what's the price of all your pieces? Like,
that's my second one too.
Like, let me check back in on OG. What's the cost for Siakam? Yep. What's the options looking like for Van Vliet and Gary Trent? Just everything in Toronto. I got to check in because most of those pieces would fit in Dallas, and I'd be interested in all of those guys for the right price.
That's my second one too. Just to check in, just to see what they are, especially on OG, where they are. We know that he's been shopped before. I know I talked to Sean Woodley, Locked On Raptors recently, and he said, I went from thinking that OG would be definitely traded at one point in the season to man, OG may be the second safest Raptor on the roster after Scotty Barnes, because of the coaching change and the shift in their focus. So we don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going on.
I've been adamant since the first rumor of that they should not trade OG.
No, they shouldn't.
Like you want to pair a guy like that with Scotty Barnes.
They do it if they're deciding to, like, all right, we're gonna overhaul everything. We're Van Vliet's gonna be gone. Like we're gonna start selling off some of these parts and just like do a quick on the fly rebuild around Scotty Barnes. Yeah. My next call is Miles Turner. I don't even know if I'm going to call the team. Am I calling Pacers?
He's called
calling straight. I'm calling about Miles Turner because I think he is one of the more gettable bigs that fits so well into what the Mavericks want to do. He's been available in the past, even as recently as last year. he was available. Yeah. So yeah, that's my next call.
My next call would be Bob Myers, and I got to know what's happening with Draymond.
Yeah,
and what's happening? Is he picking up? Is he picking up the option? And are you entertaining trades? You just going to run it back? Are you interested in any type of sign and trade? In all of that, I would definitely be calling Bob Myers. That's not about Jordan Poole, but Draymond.
That's a great one. I considered that one. My next one would be the Atlanta call.
Yeah, that's my next one.
Yeah, I'm calling down there. I'm checking in on our package of Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter. I'm checking on both of them because
they're kind of like the East version of Toronto. Like, I mean, even Clint, in the fact of like they have multiple pieces that you'd be interested in.
They're both in the East.
That's true. They're the second East.
They're
version.
The South version. The South version.
South version. The
South version.
American version. Because like Bogdan, I'd be interested in him for the right price. Obviously, DeAndre Hunter. All right, whatever. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm checking in on those two because Clint Capella, he doesn't fit the defense. They would have to change some things, but he fits. They need a rebounder. They need a big. He fits the price range that you want for that type of big. And then DeAndre Hunter comes in and helps that wing spot a lot, like a lot. And I think he fits a little bit better with Luka and Kyrie than he does with Trey and DeJounte, in my opinion.
Yeah. I got one more call. Do you got one more?
Yeah, I got one more too.
All right, go for it.
Brooklyn. I'm calling Brooklyn. I'm asking about Claxton. I'm asking about Dorian. I'm asking about what are you doing with Royce O'Neal's non-guaranteed? That's probably my last one because I think that one's a little more guaranteed than a Warriors call. A Warriors call is a tough, long call to me. If I get 5, then Brooklyn's one of my top 5.
Okay.
My first 5, I guess.
So my last call, in all honesty, this guy's probably my first call. But I just had to put it on 5th here. Is Bill Duffy.
Fair.
Calling Bill Duffy, checking in on Luka, seeing how the offseason's going, where's Luka's mind at and stuff. But I'm also checking in on DeAndre Ayton. Hey, Bill, where is he at? Like, be honest. Where is his head at? Does he just need a change of scenery? I think his value could be so low this summer. And it's like, hey, if we got him with Luka, would he try? Would he like basketball then? Or would they just play Overwatch? I need to know. So
or would he my thought on Ayton is recently as I'm watching in the second quarter, the Nuggets are up by 20.
Right now?
Yeah. It's 48-28 in this game right now. My one thought on Ayton is, what if he wants like a more hands-off coach? And Jason Kidd is that guy.
He's going to get it.
I was saying Jason Kidd is that guy. Like maybe he reaches him a little bit better than like a hands-on Monty Williams guy that you and I would both love as the coach of the Mavericks. But we don't know what kind of coach Ayton wants. And maybe he reacts better to that. Maybe he reacts better to
pop, types. No, just kidding.
So yeah, that one's interesting. It's not one of my first calls, but the Ayton staying on that team would be wild.
There's no way.
I can't.
No way.
We said that last year. The other thing I laughed.
He's played his last game in Phoenix.
The other thing that I laughed at that you said is that his cost may be really low. This is the exact same conversation we had about Rudy Gobert, and then he got traded for like one of the biggest packages we've seen.
Minnesota's not on my list of calls.
I was saying which well, maybe we should because they don't have any assets anymore, but they make some weird trades. So.
Great question. Whoever sent that in.
That was a great one. Appreciate that one. Coming up, let's get into
the whole freaking segment.
Yeah, I knew that would take us a while. Coming up, let's talk about Marcus Smart because the Celtics are going to a game 7, but the Dallas native may be the one that gets shipped out. So we'll talk about that.
Maybe.
All right, Isaac Harris, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. We appreciate each and every one of you sticking with us all throughout this offseason because, man, if you're listening to the third segment of the fifth day of a Dallas Mavericks podcast in the fifth week of the offseason, you are a real one, and I love you. Another question came in. We definitely don't have the assets for Jaylen Brown. That is correct. Sorry, Jimmy, we don't. But
Jimmy.
when we all things Mavs, Jimmy, he tried with a tweet this week. Did not hit it. Friend of the show. Sorry, bud.
I wish the 10th pick could get you Jaylen Brown.
Second pick, maybe.
Yes. Would you trade Scoot for Jaylen Brown? Yes, I would.
Oh, yeah, I would 100%.
Yeah.
But would you guys like some but would we have something like you guys mentioned for Smart is the wording of the question. Would he want to come home? Would he want to come play with Kyrie? What are your thoughts on Marcus Smart?
I have no clue if he would like to play with Kyrie, but yeah, I mean, if he wants to come to Dallas, if he's gettable, I would definitely go after him. I think he could be gettable. I think Derek White's played really well for him. So if they, have to pick or something like that, it'd be kind of tough for him, but I'd be down if I was down. I will say this, he's not I think some people have in their brain that he's like the lockdown, like he's, Caruso basically.
Defensive player of the year.
I know, but I don't think he's like that right now for like opposing point guards, but he is what Dylan Brooks thinks he is. So I want him. I would definitely take him.
Dylan Brooks should watch a lot of Marcus Smart tape from like when he came into the league and where he is now, because if he could just mold into that, then it's a much better player. Because Marcus Smart did come in as like I'm a point guard, I'm a scorer, I'm a 20-point per game guy.
Yeah,
and now he's
toned it down a lot.
He's accepted that he's not. Marcus Smart would be great. That's such a great fit. He doesn't need the ball in his hands, but he can have it. He can do some playmaking things. Just such a great. You wish he was a little bit better shooter on the outside to be a spacer for the Mavericks, but you still have to respect him out there. And so I think that's a great fit. And I've been clear on this. The Mavs don't need that much more offense. You can afford to get a couple of defensive guys, especially if the Mavericks change their offense at all and make it more effective. Because those Luka and Kyrie can make enough shots on their own, but if they had an offense that actually worked around them, then that would help a lot. The other thing is that I saw recently Bill Simmons and Kevin O'Connor on the Ringer, both big Celtics guys, obviously Bill Simmons.
No way.
The two guys that they would ship out if the Celtics were to lose would be Rob Williams and Marcus Smart. So maybe
they both fit in Dallas. Rob Williams scares me a little bit, just his injury history, but the contract prize, I think it would be fun.
Yeah, you can do worse all right, let's bring in $40 million or $30 million of salaries and get Marcus Smart and Rob Williams. You can do worse than that.
Heck yeah.
And I saw somebody recently in the comments, our comments, say, stop talking. Oh, this was in the draft pod I did with Richard Stamen. Stop talking about guards. We have enough guards. Not true.
Really? Well,
not true. Like, they still need guards. Think about at times last year, Kyrie Irving at the end of the season was the best guard defender the Mavericks had.
Yeah.
Right? Jason Kidd was using him and guarding the best guard at times, like in close games down the stretch. That's where they were. So they do need somebody like that. They do need guards. So
yeah,
whether it's a Cason Wallace in the draft or a Marcus Smart, like on whatever end of the spectrum it is, they do need guards. You can't just say we have enough guards.
I agree. Yeah.
Let's do a couple rapid fire questions. What's your ideal top 4 of the draft lottery order, including the Mavs and not including the Mavs? Let's just do not including the Mavs because we've talked about the Mavs. I mean, be Mavs 1.
So let's line up the Eastern Conference here. I would do Orlando, Washington, Detroit, and Charlotte.
Washington?
Yeah. Give them Scoot.
Scoot in Washington would be hilarious. It's just John Wall 2.0.
Yeah. They need a young guy. Wemby, it's a tie for me, kind of like Orlando or Detroit. I would love him.
I had Detroit.
Yeah. I'm all in on Paolo. Everybody knows that. And Wemby and Paolo together and Franz for the next years would be so much fun.
Yeah, I think Cade and Wembanyama is a fascinating duo.
Yeah.
I think that works so well with Cade's passing. I think it works a little bit better than the two guys in Orlando, just duo wise.
Yeah.
And then Scoot in Orlando, pushing the pace with Paolo on one side and Franz Wagner on the other, and I think that's great. And then I put Charlotte 3. Give him Brandon Miller. They need something. Give Charlotte something.
I don't know what. Yeah. I don't know if I was.
Go listen to Doug Branson and Walker Mail for all your Charlotte Hornets.
What a tough situation.
From Greg and Wendy, do you think the Mavs will hire JJ Barea as an assistant coach?
Greg and Wendy.
Greg and Wendy came up to me at a game. I know Greg and Wendy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was more of a reference for me than it was for you.
All right.
But yeah, would you see JJ Barea as assistant coach?
It's kind of sad. I mean, because he's been very vocal that he wants to be an assistant in the NBA and that he would love to be in Dallas.
It's like, what else has he got to say?
I know, and it's kind of tough that he isn't getting a shot yet. And I mean, I would. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about somebody. I asked Mark Cuban to his face if he would have his number retired. So, I mean,
on this pod,
yeah. And I mean, I'm a huge JJ Barea fan. So yes, I wish he would get hired as assistant coach. I don't know if he will. The other part of the question is, would Kidd perceive that as a threat to his job? I don't think Kidd.
Yeah, that part. No, I don't think so.
No. Who would Luka choose?
Kidd was not concerned that they weren't going to make the playoffs. I don't think he's concerned about his job at all.
Unless that's why he
tanked
didn't.
Unless
that's why he didn't hire like an experienced head coach behind him.
I mean, maybe initially, then you make the Western Conference Finals, and then maybe he feels better about it, and now he can. But he got asked that question about, are you concerned about missing the playoffs? And he said, no, you're not.
Which also, Mavs haven't hired that guy yet. I wonder if they're waiting on somebody.
They haven't they haven't hired the coach yet. So I mean, there's a lot of open spots right now. I mean, Milwaukee's job is open right now.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. Another question: what are your expectations for Jaden Hardy playing in the summer league now that he has some NBA experience under his belt?
I mean, summer league's so hard to figure out, predict, because on paper you're like, man, he's gonna kill summer league. In that first game of summer league, 28 points. We're all freaking out. I mean, he could go there and have games like that, or he could go there and just be like chill. And so, I mean, yeah, I lean towards him just dominating summer league, and let's do it.
He'll probably, since he's a second-year player, played in the G League, did all that. He'll probably come in. I'm disappointed by this already, but he'll come in, score 30 in his first game, or like 15 in the first half, or 20 in the first half or something, and then just be done the rest of summer league. Just play. He'll be one of those, because we've seen that in the past. Just we play one game, show that you're the best player on the court by a margin, and then you're just done.
Yeah,
that's sad to me, because I would love to see him play every game and see him with the ball in his hands a little bit more, and whoever the rookie is or whatever, see them play off each other. But I don't think it'll happen
this year's summer league though. Chet might be back. This past rookie class,
none of these guys are going to play. I've no hope in summer league anymore for any of these guys.
Really? Whatever.
I know. I lost my hope in it, because it just seems like guys come in, they play one game, or they just don't play at all. Ever since Luka didn't play, I'm like,
how high it would break all the summer league ratings, right? If it's Wemby versus Chet in a summer league game.
Or just the Wemby Scoot thing again. Like, can they do Wemby Scoot again?
Yeah.
that
the NBA would fire off like 10 different tweets on their social media impressions and
there you go. If you guys have more questions, if you guys want to text us, subscribe to our subtext. We appreciate each and every one of you. Monday, we'll be back talking about the teams that got eliminated. See if the Mavericks can pick off some pieces. Maybe it's the Celtics, maybe the Sixers, probably the Suns at this point. But text us on the subtext. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us this week on Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.